Hello, guten Tag, dobar dan. It's a pleasure for me to address you, specializing in the relations between Croatia and Germany, Germany and Croatia, and with a high interest in hydrogen. Hydrogen is a molecule and it serves basically to help to clean up and to green up many developments, and that is what makes it so attractive. Thanks for your interest in hydrogen and the role it can play in not only digitalization, because there is a role to play, and I know that your Congress touches upon that as well, but especially about making our economy in Europe and especially the ties between Croatia and Germany more green, more clean, more sustainable, but also more resilient. And I will explain. Ladies and gentlemen, we have had this fantastic path towards climate neutrality. And I said had because there's a lot of discussion about that at the moment. The discussion goes around, can we keep the high standards, yes or no? Because it is obvious that in certain areas of our economy in Europe, high standards have also led to investments in other parts of the world. Let me mention China, where you can see a boost due to clean technologies, but also a big support by the state. And clean technologies are the future, and hydrogen is a clean technology in many aspects, but they need clear focus. They need that governments focus upon it and keep the focus. And there is another entry point, and that's what I would like to elaborate upon. The other entry point is the point of resilience, because our economy is in a decline in Europe, because we don't have mechanisms to protect this economy, to have this resilience. And the main reason is that we need imports of energy. And I would also say imports of molecules, because we can produce ourselves renewable electricity. We have an issue with molecules, and molecules at the moment are feeding 80% of our energy system, of our society, and only 20% run on electrons. You can try to turn this around, but sometimes it's easier to focus on the molecules and to make them more own-grown, domestic, or to use import strategies that basically make us more diversified in our partners. And here we need a backbone. Here we need basically channels that bring the molecules, the green and clean molecules, to the main economic hotspots in Europe, which is Germany. And Croatia is such an entry point. And this is what I would like to focus in the next minutes. It is true that in hubs like Kirk and others, we are developing a new form of molecule import to Europe, basically using ammonia. Ammonia is NH3, H is hydrogen, and nitrogen is the N, and nitrogen is in the air. It's abundantly available, and you can do out of renewable hydrogen that you produce with renewable sources, H, and out of N that you take cheaply from the air, in the Haber-Bosch process, you can do ammonia. And ammonia is easy to transport, and this is exactly what we see as a big hub that is prepared for Croatia as an entry point, replacing basically some fossil molecules that so far are dominating in our economy. But the very fact that our EU and our president, Mrs. Ursula von der Leyen, signed in Scotland a deal with Donald Trump that is not at all good for Europe, 750 billion of LNG need to be imported, shows how dependent we are. And LNG from US is fossil, has a very negative ecological footprint. And we can counter this by balancing out our dependencies from other streams and by making also our technologies, because the Haber-Bosch technology and other Fischer-Tropsch technology come from Europe, are clean tech based on hydrogen, and they can play a fundamental role in diversifying our basically economy by diversifying and bringing new productivity to our economy. That is, and this is in Germany clearly, you can monitor it, it's clear, it's in decline. And that is why we believe that electricity is a very, very good pathway, but you need also to base all this on clean and green molecules using hydrogen. We have a lot of trans-border cooperation, especially in something we call hydrogen valleys. There's the North Adriatic Hydrogen Valley, where basically Croatia, Italy, and Slovenia are cooperating and are basically starting to collaborate based on this new molecule idea. And this is just a starting point. We have other companies that are basically using Croatian hubs already. We need to think about how to then bring ammonia or liquefied hydrogen, that is also a very, very good option, to the main markets in Central Europe. And we talked about corridors. So these corridors can consist based on pipelines, the pipeline system. Indeed, a pipeline system is planned. We call it the European hydrogen backbone, which would be a hydrogen pipeline. And the main idea is the core grid, Kernnetz in Germany, with some 10,000 kilometers of pure hydrogen pipeline. But there are other options too. There is the option of using rail, because both ammonia but also liquid hydrogen can, in a cargo system, in an intermodal cargo system, come with ships and then be put on rail. In the case of ammonia, it is quite well known. In the case of liquid hydrogen, which needs to have a temperature of minus 252 degrees, we need special cargo that prevents the boil-off effect, because you need to keep it insulated and very, very cold, which is easily possible for 3 weeks. And so you can already think about ammonia coming from diverse geographies. Brazil is one of the big projects here, but also Saudi Arabia. And then we see liquefied hydrogen coming from Oman, all per ship. And here Croatia can play the role that it needs to play. And we need to think about new connections of the existing maritime hubs with basically the rail system to bring all this to Europe. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking here about a technology that is bottoming out. We had a big expectation that was basically created also by the European Commission when the first European hydrogen strategy was launched in 2020. And this hydrogen strategy, of course, came along with high expectations. And it's like in every technology, when you enter from PowerPoint to Excel, it is doable. But when you then see that also the prices go higher, and the hydrogen production is basically dependent from electricity and electricity price, 80% of it. And these prices went up, especially in Germany, because of grids that are not big enough for so much renewable electricity, and the intermittency, the redispatching that is needed, the curtailment cost us some 5 billion the last 2 years in Germany only. And these are basically facts that bring the price up. And here you go. If you have more systems that you can use, not only a power grid, but also a pipeline, the train system that I was just alluding to, ships, you can basically balance these costs out and you can find a system efficiency to bring the costs down. This is why, especially the cooperation between Croatia and Germany is crucial here. And I'm very, very happy to see that your activities focus on these relations. You can bet that it will be fruitful over the next years because basically we have no choice. If we really want to be climate neutral and resilient, we need to have much more electricity and more molecules, and we need everything I described earlier on. So resilience becomes the new sustainability, basically, because sustainability is embedded, and Croatia and Germany will be strong partners in this relation. Hvala lepa. I thank you very much for your attention. Herzlichen Dank, and I wish you a very successful Congress.